This is the zombie princess, Jimmy Jacobs, and I want you to keep listening to Count It Out with Mike and Tyler. And hey, I'm a princess. I always get what I want.
Listening to Count It Out with Mike and Tyler.
Well, we are live, pals, and welcome to what I'm hoping is going to be a full edition of the Bill Apter Seal of Approve. Count It Out with Mike and Tyler. My name is Tyler, and I am joined as always by the one and only Mike. Mike, as you can hear, I'm in rough shape, my friend.
I have the lingering effects of the sickness I had for the last 2 weeks, but you're just getting into the thick of years.
Yeah,
what a wonderful time to be alive.
I think I've just returned from my wedding. GPS is locked in. It was a wonderful week away with friends and family, but it was a very long week of heavy drinking and stress and fun, and the culture shock of coming home to the cold weather from 30-degree days every day, along with not sleeping for a week. I think it has all caught up to me, my friend. I'm going to try to push through and get a show out, though.
So funny. You say not sleeping for a week. You mean that because you only texted me like 2-3 times during the whole time, and you called me once. And
no memory of that phone call, by the way.
That's what I assumed, because every text and phone call came at about 4 o'clock in the morning.
Oh yeah, that's when we're just getting started.
And I would be like, fuck, man. I'm like, okay, well, you know what? It's the time difference. It's probably like fucking 6 where he is. He doesn't realize I'm in fucking bed. I checked the time difference. You're actually a fucking hour after me.
So I knew damn well what I was doing.
So when you're calling me at like 3-4 in the morning, it's really like 4-5 in the morning for you. And I'm just like, okay, he's out of it. He's loaded.
Damn right I was.
Yeah.
Okay, now listen.
Oh, good.
I
wish I could have been there, but I'm glad you had a good time.
Had a great time. Now we have a lot to talk about. And before we do talk about anything, I need to go on record, publicly say, Mike, I was wrong. CM Punk was the absolute perfect choice for the fifth man of the bloodline. Now we're going to get into that. We're going to get into that in a minute. But I do need to publicly say, on this show, I gave you a hard time when you brought it up, and I was wrong. Oh, and I'm getting updates here that I need to restart. We're not going to be doing that for an hour. Yes. See, the world doesn't want me to admit I'm wrong. But I was wrong. Something I'm not wrong about, though, is my hate for football and fantasy football.
Oh, my God. Everything sucks. But we won't even get into real football because the Bengals, you warned me. You warned me when this started. When I started getting into football, you told me, you said, listen, if you're going to do this, if you're going to be a Bengals fan, be ready.
Yeah.
Be ready. There's going to be more heartbreak than there is not. And here it is. This is, holy shit. I think the worst part of it is watching how good our team is, the potential our team is.
How good Joe Burrow and our offense is.
Well, the offense, that's what I mean. And then watch it get all pissed away every time the defense hits the fucking field. It's horrible.
Joe Burrow is having an MVP season that has been wasted, and that is all I can talk about. It infuriates me. But I mean, fantasy football, right? I was playing the last place team in the league. I was up by about 50 points, 60, 70 points, whatever. And he came back and beat me last night with the Cleveland Browns.
Infuriating to me because I went on a 5-week streak. I was doing amazing. I was finally hitting my stride. I was in a good place. I was in 5th place. Now, everything kind of worked out for me with the losses, the way things worked out. I'm still in 5th place. However, the points are so goddamn tight. The one and only person standing between me and a playoff contention spot right now is your wife.
Well, no, I'll tell you, there's more to than that. Right now in our league, only 3 people are confirmed to make the playoffs.
But if I beat her, I at least stay in that top 8 contention. I will.
Yeah, but only
But
three.
if I lose and there's 3 people, you're one of them, that if I lose and you win, I go all the way down and you go up.
Yeah, so we only have 3 locked in playoff spots, and everybody's within a game of each other to fight for these last spots. So
It's
it's
hard.
gonna come down to the wire. Not happy,
Victoria
but
Victoria started off my season by beating me. I am not going to let her end my season by beating me.
her team's hot. Her team's healthy right now, man. You're in
However,
trouble.
however, the projections do not look good.
No, and I'm in a 50-50 dogfight in mine. So I think you and I might be looking at the outside of the playoffs this year, my friend.
That's really heartbreaking considering like that 5 game streak being in that spot. I was doing really good. I'm in a
It's
better spot now than the people that were in the top 3 6 weeks ago.
because football sucks. Let's talk about
Football
wrestling.
sucks.
You
Let's
said
do
it
it.
best last night when I texted you. At least wrestling's awesome.
Mm-hmm. And it's really awesome right now. A lot of cool stuff happening. Where do we start, man?
I think we start with CM Punk and the Bloodline.
All right. Let's start right from the beginning on that. Right after you left on your trip, the day you left on your trip, actually, the Friday SmackDown. Out comes the Wise Man, and I think we knew the Wise Man was going to come at the last minute, right? He was going to wait until right before Survivor Series to make his appearance, and he did. And he announces that it's not a 4-on-4, it is a 5-on-5, and here's your guy. But all the subtle nuances to that entire segment, I can watch it. I think I've watched it 5, 6 times now, and I've seen something different every time. There's all these little tiny things that not only work for that segment and for Survivor Series, but for the purposes of long-term storytelling. They just created a choose your own adventure with that segment alone.
Mm-hmm.
There are so many things that they can do between now and WrestleMania, and maybe even a little bit after WrestleMania, from that segment alone. The way that people look at each other, the way people are dressed, the way people presented themselves in that segment. This is God tier writing in the WWE right now.
The little things that CM Punk does that make things feel big, like when he walked out after they announced him and he was wrapping his fists with tape and just got in and started fighting. His entrance at Survivor Series and he just walked up and like he's just dude, he's on fire right now.
He absolutely is.
He's on fire right now, and it's to a point. And I'm probably the only person that feels like this, but I would rather see CM Punk versus Roman Reigns than The Rock versus Roman Reigns.
I am very toe and toe with you here. I do want to see Rock and Roman, but when that started being teased, if you would have asked me a couple weeks ago, do you have any interest in seeing CM Punk and Roman? I would have said no. I would have said no. But just with that segment alone, I'm like, I see what they've done. They've given us a match in case Rock can't commit, because apparently right now Rock is not fully committed for WrestleMania, and that makes sense. You know, he's a busy guy. But if he doesn't end up fully committing to WrestleMania, and Rock and Roman can't happen, they have backup, matches. They have backup plans, and that's a great thing to do. We talked about this a few weeks ago. Always have a plan B and a C.
Mm-hmm.
In this case, I think the plan B might be better than the plan A.
I think so too.
Roman and CM Punk with Paul Heyman in the middle is just that's a barn burner for me. And you don't need a title involved. There's so many things you can do. Here's my question. There's little nuances in that segment. I want to know what you think. Does any of it mean anything? So, for example, at the very end of that segment, you have all of them, including the Wise Man, doing the finger up, except for CM Punk. He's doing his thing.
Yeah, as he should. He's not in the bloodline, right? Why he shouldn't be acknowledging Roman Reigns.
But again, subtle nuance. That could be a little dig saying, I will not acknowledge you fully because we're gonna meet each other at WrestleMania.
I just think it would have been weird if he acknowledged him. Like it just didn't fit.
Well, there's a way it could have happened. He could have looked around, he could have teased that, and then looked at Roman, looked at Wiseman, and Wiseman being like,
I
and he
just it
goes,
doesn't seem like
he
it
could have
would
been like,
something Punk would
all
do
right,
though, right?
this one time, he could have made it work. But I'm glad he didn't. I like what they did. Um, Paul Heyman wearing the exact same suit as Solo Sikoa.
I didn't notice that.
Did you not notice that?
No, I did notice the suit
What?
change.
Watch the segment again. He comes out, he's wearing identical clothing to Solo. The same suit, the same shirt, the same pocket square. He's dressed identical to Solo Sikoa. And I find that very interesting. Does it mean anything? I don't know. But I find it very, very interesting. There's a great spot where he gives a little wink over to Jimmy, as in, we got this. Like, I know everything that's going on. Just these little things. Paul Heyman is the best.
He is. Yes.
And he makes this storyline. You know, if you would have told me the storyline would still be this good after almost 5 years, I would have laughed at you.
Yeah, me too.
But man, they just keep putting fuel on the fire, and they make it interesting and more interesting and more interesting. I'm loving it.
It's the best storyline that the WWE has ever done, in my opinion. And I have a wild take on what I want to see the next chapter of it be before we finish talking about it.
Are you surprised that the OGs went over?
No, it was the right move.
Because I remember a few weeks ago, you flat out said, "Well, the new blood has to go over, right?"
I think,
and at that point, I think maybe you were right, but I think in the end,
they
made the right decision.
I think things have shifted, and the OG had to go over for sure in this one. I think it's time that we get Roman and Solo. I would either do that on Saturday night's main event, or I would do that on the first Raw on Netflix. I think it's time to kind of start moving away from this a little bit and moving on to the next chapters.
I didn't get to watch the War Games match in full. I'm going to finish it, but I only got up to shortly after Bronson Reed's entrance into the match, and then I had to turn it off, and I haven't gone back to it. So I'd like to know from you. Like I already know who won. I already know spoilers, so it doesn't matter any of that. I just want your opinion on the match.
I loved it. I loved it because they broke away from the traditional WWE War Games format of, I'm going to run down and grab weapons and throw it in the ring. Now I'm going to run down.
Isn't that exactly what Bronson Reed did?
A couple people did it.
Okay.
But not a lot.
All right.
Because Bronson was the second guy in, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was Bronson and Tama Tonga, and they were beating down on Jay. And then Jimmy ran out and was like, fuck it, I'm going to save my brother. You know what I mean? And then
why you don't waste time. You don't pull a Jeff Hardy and dance on the ramp.
Yeah.
You get your ass in the ring. Yeah, that's good psychology.
And then when they did introduce a weapon, it was smart. Like Punk was outnumbered and everyone was waiting for him to come in. So he went under the ring and grabbed the toolbox that he used to bust open Drew McIntyre.
Love that.
Which led to a great spot where he did the that knee and bulldog combo he does.
Mm-hmm.
He did that to Jacob Fatu, and Jacob no-sold it. He did on the toolbox, and Jacob was like, and killed, and it was incredible. But like everything made sense in that match. I thought the storytelling was great. Everyone's kind of shitting on the match from what I've read, and I don't understand why.
I don't even read that shit anymore. They did the same thing with the women's match, and I did watch the women's match. I was going to watch the women's match followed by the men's match. Was the women's match the best War Games match I ever seen? No. But I liked it. I enjoyed it. I don't understand all the hate it's getting.
It was fine for what it was. It told the story, but
Rio looked like $1 million.
100%.
You know?
Yeah, no, I love the War Games match, and I thought it was good. I have less. Wait, before I get into the next Punk chapter, let me stay on the topic of Roman and the Bloodline. I have a wild thing I'm going to put out there.
Sure.
Roman Reigns has not changed once, right? Like this whole time, he's not changed anything. Have you heard him say the words, "I'm sorry"? Have you heard him?
No. He's come in as I as a defunct, not a defunct, as a de facto babyface. He's a babyface because he's against the bad guys. That's the one and only thing that makes him a babyface. He's doing nothing different than he did as his 4-year run as the biggest heel in the company.
Before the finish of the match, he told Solo he loved him, gave him a chance to
I
end it,
heard
right?
I heard about that, right?
Solo didn't take it, whatever. I don't think Roman Reigns is loyal to the OGs. I think he's loyal
To
to
his
being,
family.
no, to being acknowledged.
Mm.
Now, what about in this crazy world if Roman Reigns links up with the new bloodline because they will acknowledge him? And his OG bloodlines are all about
In that case,
individuality now.
you got to get rid of Solo then, because then it doesn't make sense. The whole thing started because Solo stopped acknowledging him.
Yeah.
But
And
but
but
you bring
Roman
in
Ro
Zilla.
I don't think you need to bring in anybody. I
Well, they're
think
bringing in Zilla, so find a place for him.
but I mean even with Solo, if Solo were to acknowledge Roman, Roman has shown that he can accept turncoats, Sami Zayn, Jey Uso, he's brought them all back, but Roman wants to be acknowledged.
Mhm.
So I think if he at that humbling moment where Solo, I don't think this should happen till well after WrestleMania, if it happens
Okay,
at all. Like
sure.
this is not like something I want to see happen soon, but like what a piece of shit twist it would be for Roman to be like, you guys won't acknowledge me. I'm the tribal chief. We're not equals. I'm not
Hmm.
your friend. Jay, you want to be equals? Sorry, bud. These people acknowledge me as the tribal chief.
Yeah,
I'm going with Tama Tonga. I'm going with, they're still my family. You
yeah.
know what I mean? I just think that would suit Roman's character. Now, I don't know like the exact storytelling, how you get there, and like that's not up for me, but I just think it would be a pretty wild twist to for Roman to be like, I need to be acknowledged. I'm not equals with you people.
Yeah, I like that. He's I also like that you say well after WrestleMania.
Yeah,
You
it's got to be
got it.
down the pipeline.
You got to give him this face turn, this face run. You have to give him that.
Yeah.
Um, the
Right?
company
Because
the company needs it right now.
when Solo turned on Roman, he said, You didn't get the job done, you lost, and now
Mhm.
like there's consequences for the losses.
Yeah,
Solo lost, right?
a lot.
That could be a lot, yes. But what's his consequence? You put that, and maybe Jacob Fatu makes Solo put it on Roman, and you
Yeah,
fall
I like
back
that.
and you
I
fall
like
back
that.
in line, right?
Yeah.
Again, not till after WrestleMania. I think there's still a lot of storytelling that needs to be done with what they're doing, and we
Hmm.
saw that roll into Monday Night Raw with Seth Rollins. Now I have a two-part take on Seth Rollins right now.
Yeah.
Part number one, I have less than zero interest in the Seth Rollins versus CM Punk feud.
I,
Less than
I I
zero.
agree. I enjoyed it when it first started.
It just feels forced now, right?
Yeah, 100%. It was almost like they're like, okay, we're gonna do this thing, but we're gonna finish up Punk and Drew first, and then maybe we'll go back to it. It feels like a side note, and no, I'm
It's
over it.
just
Don't get me wrong. I know they can have great promos, and I love Seth. I think Seth's great. They would have a great match. I just don't have any interest in it.
well, after watching this segment last night, I had a lot more interest in Seth Rollins and Sami Zayn. And
Okay.
I would really like to see Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens find their way together because they're both have every right to be pissed off. Hey
Hmm.
man, I sacrificed everything in me to take down the bloodline. And you guys, Cody, you're up there teaming with Roman Reigns, Sammy, Jay, you're all back there with them. Punk, you join, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's
Okay.
such a slap in the face to Kevin and Seth.
This is sort of a side note, but not really. It's on topic. This is something I've been wanting to ask you about and talk to you about for a couple of weeks now. I'm not saying I have a problem with the writing for Kevin Owens' heel turn, but I just something hits me the wrong way because everything he comes out and says in his promos is 100% accurate and 100% true. And I don't know how I feel about like why am I booing this guy then?
100%, right?
You know what I mean? And I don't like that. I want to boo my bad guys because they're a bad guy. I don't want to feel conflicted about cheering or booing. I
Like,
don't, you know what I mean? I want it to be simple. Wrestling should be a little bit more simple than that. Like, don't get me wrong, wrestling psychology should be complex in a lot of ways. But when it comes right down to good and bad, it should be as simple as that. And there's been a few times in history, and this is the most prominent, where I don't know if I like that. When you come out and you spit nothing but truth, but you're a douchebag about it. And I'm like, I know I'm supposed to boo you. I'm supposed to hate you because you're up against the guy that I like. I want to root for Randy Orton. I want to root for Cody Rhodes. But you're making it real hard because everything you're saying, see, you know, you everyone's all afraid that fans are going to turn on Cody. Well, you're not doing yourself any favors by having a guy come out and show you all of Cody's faults. I don't know. I don't know if this is the smartest road to take with this.
I love it. I love when a heel has something that is truthful, that they believe in their hearts, and they take it too far though.
But
Like
but when it
Piper was the same with Hogan. Piper,
yes,
right?
yes.
And it's the same thing. The best heels are the ones that have that piece of meat. Like they don't understand you're doing something wrong, so why are the people still cheering for you? And now, like, because I'm calling you out on it, I'm the bad guy, and that's what the trigger is for the real heels. Like,
Yeah.
it's the same thing as Seth and Kevin Owens find their way together. There's a new chapter now with Kevin and Sammy that we haven't seen yet. There's
Right.
a new chapter with Seth and Sammy. It's just so much more
And don't
meat
forget
on the
Randy.
bones.
Randy's going to be involved in that. And man, WrestleMania is going to shape up something real special.
Oh, this is going to be a great WrestleMania.
Real special.
100%. 100%.
And everything that's on the road to WrestleMania. I think this might be this might shape up to be the most exciting road to WrestleMania ever.
Here,
And I know
here's
I know Royal Rumble starts the road to WrestleMania, but for me, psychologically storytelling, I consider it to be Survivor Series.
here's here's another name that we haven't even mentioned. You want to talk about the road to WrestleMania? That's John Cena's coming back.
And that starts in January. That's going to start. I'm going to guess right at the Royal Rumble. You'll probably be at the Netflix premiere.
Yeah, big time.
You know, do
I think
something
that's
there.
the first time we see him.
You said this quite a few weeks ago, but this has to happen. This is where it makes sense. He comes out on the Netflix premiere and um, flat out says, "I'm putting my name into the Royal Rumble."
I think that's the right call.
That's the right call right there. That's what you do, and then you start his retirement tour right at Royal Rumble. They're already, which is a great move, smart move. I'm sure they're doing this for every city, but they're already using John Cena to push tickets for Elimination Chamber in Toronto,
As they should.
as they should. Every city he goes to, just like like they're doing in Toronto, you put last time in Toronto, last time in Delaware, last time in Los Angeles. Why not? Because that's what's going to get people to want to spend money. I am going to be spending far much more money on elimination tickets than I ever thought that I would. Like I've got major wifey when I told her how much I'm willing to spend. I think the only reason I'm getting away with it is because she knows I'm doing it for my kid.
Yeah.
I am though.
It's all for the kid.
Well, a lot of it. I want him to have that experience. I want him to be able to see John Cena. It's his favorite wrestler. Why would I not want him to see John Cena one time before it's too late? But I I would never be willing to spend the amount of money that I'm willing to spend right now if it wasn't something so spectacular like John Cena's last appearance in your city. Why wouldn't you promote that? Of course
Yeah.
you would. So that's going to make the road to WrestleMania that much more special because every city goes to. Because what do we have in this so-called road to WrestleMania? We got Royal Rumble, Elimination Chamber,
2 nights of Rumble and Elimination Chamber.
We're doing 2 nights of Rumble this year?
I think this is the first year with 2. Maybe I'm wrong. It could be next year though.
I thought that was SummerSlam they were going to move to two
No,
nights.
Rumble's gonna start being 2. Let me double
I
check right now.
fucking hate that.
I would rather them do 2 nights of Rumble than 2 nights of SummerSlam. At least you have
I mean,
two.
at least it makes sense because you can have a women's Rumble on one night and a men's Rumble on the other night. At least that makes a lot more sense than
Yeah.
SummerSlam. I just don't like these 2-day pay-per-views. I don't even like the 2-day Mania. Um, yeah,
Oh
not
no,
a
it
fan.
looks like it's only one. Looks like it's only one this year. But they will be launching it into 2 going
Ugh,
forward.
not a fan. Not a fan.
No. But I also am not a fan of like there was no need to have a women's War Games match at Survivor Series.
I don't know.
Like,
I enjoyed the match, and
but it's
and
overkill.
yeah.
Like two War Games matches. Like they could have just done a traditional Survivor Series
But
match.
they've been doing this for a long time.
I know, and I don't like it.
It's but even before they started, making the women more prominent, there's been 2 Money in the Bank matches,
Hmm.
both
Didn't
for each brand, and
don't like it.
but this I don't know. This has been going. This is almost a tradition at this point.
Yeah, I don't like it. I just think it's like if it makes sense to do, then it makes sense to do. But like that women's match didn't need to be in War Games. It could have been a traditional Survivor Series match.
Anytime to see Io Sky in a War Games match, I'm down with it. That
Did you
woman's
see?
the that
Did
woman's
you
the
see?
queen of War Games.
Did you?
What the press conference?
Yeah. Oh my God, she was the star of the press conference.
Every every press conference that happens these days, I see at least 2 or 3 so-called journalists. It makes me sit back and think we better get our media credentials this
My
year
God,
because we would be way better than some of these friggin' idiots.
did you see the? Well, for those of you that didn't see it, somebody asked Io Sky if she was planning to bring any backup with her to take on Liv Morgan because she has Raquel Rodriguez, and
Yeah,
Io just looked at this person like they're an idiot, and goes, "Yeah, I'm in damage control."
I'm in damage control. I don't know
Ah.
if you watched the show.
Yeah,
Now,
the other embarrassing one was in AEW. They had Mariah May out for a press conference, and not one person asked her a question.
fucking idiots.
Yeah,
Um, Speaking of the press conference, CM Punk, I think, was the MVP of the press conference.
as he tends to be for all the right or wrong reasons.
This
Um,
time it was the right reason.
I have
Uh,
one more talking point to get to before we go to your list.
okay, well, we have a lot. We still have a couple things to talk about. So yeah, I want to talk about Raw last night and New Day.
Yeah.
What do you have left?
Well, I just wanted to talk about Joe Hendry a little bit
Okay,
and just how ridiculous his booking is right now. I hate it. I don't.
I'm not gonna lie. I hate saying these words, but I'm kind of off Impact right now. I haven't been watching it.
I didn't even know
I'm
they had an event on the weekend,
Neither did I
and it looked
until
like it was decent.
you just mentioned it right now. I did not know what was the event.
It was like Turning Point or something. They
Okay.
had Masha and Jordan in a 2 out of 3 falls match. They had
Oh no shit! I bet that was fire.
it sounded pretty good. They had Nick Nemeth against I think Eddie Edwards was for the title, which is probably a good match as well.
I'll say this: his thing with Nick Nemeth is his song for Nick Nemeth is the greatest thing in the world.
Who
Or not
Hendrix?
Nick Nemeth, so not Nick Nemeth, Ryan Nemeth.
Oh,
You
that
can
was
see
funny.
you can see his song for Ryan Nemeth.
Yeah, that was funny.
You're Nick Nemeth's brother. The end.
Done.
So good.
Joe Hendry found himself in the loser wears a turkey match. And he came out on the pre-show and cut a promo making fun of everybody in the match. And then, like, obviously, he didn't wear the turkey suit, but
It doesn't matter. That's not a match for him.
no,
That's not a match he should be in right now.
I don't want to play the "I
Ugh.
told you so" card to everybody. But I mean, now what they're doing this angle where he's everyone's like, it's okay because he's gonna work his way back up to the top and win the belt. It's too late, people. He already did that when he lost at Slammiversary, and then he worked his way back up by beating Josh. Then he lost at Bound for like they've missed the boat for Joe Henry to be a world champion. And Joe Henry will still be an entertaining character and he's still a draw, but they have missed the boat on catapulting him to be something bigger than what he could be.
I don't want to shit on guys like Tommy Dreamer and Rhino and whoever else is on the creative team over there right now. But If you guys aren't missing Scott D'Amore, you're idiots.
Yeah, I mean, can't wait to see what's next for Maple Leaf Pro.
Mm-hmm. Um, this week hit the 10-year anniversary for New Day.
Mm-hmm.
And what a way to celebrate it.
What a segment.
I love what they did because they could have done it. I don't think anybody saw the way that was going to come out. Did people expect a breakup? Sure, I'm sure they did.
I didn't.
When I think a lot of people expected Kofi and Woods to break up because they've been teasing it for weeks and weeks. When he came out, though, I said, okay, here's what's going to happen. They're going to do like he's the Bret Hart to their Owen and Bulldog. They're going to get back together. He's going to manage them for a few weeks, a few months, and then Kofi's going to turn on. Not Kofi. Then Woods is going to turn on them both, and then Woods will be a heel. Kofi will be a face, and Eel will be lost in the shuffle. He'll go back to his desk job, as they said. That's what I assumed. As soon as he walked down to the ring and said, "I want to be your manager," that's what I saw coming. What I didn't see coming was this double turn. Kofi and Woods on the same page, looking at E dead in his eye and said, "You're the problem."
You know, it was like super powerful because we all expected Woods to do it. And when Kofi chimed in and said, when Kofi said it, I was like, oh, damn.
Yeah.
Like it hurt. It hurt the heartstrings.
You know, when you say, when they started throwing out names, Stone Cold Steve Austin broke his neck. He came back. CM Punk broke his neck. He came back. Kurt Angle he broke his neck. He said, excuse me. Even excuse me. Even Shane Helms threw a tweet out.
Yeah.
I broke my neck.
What's up with that?
Yeah.
Let me spin a devil's advocate on the angle and just another way that it could have went that I think would be pretty cool is I don't know where Big E's progress is in healing. I'm going to assume he's not close to healing.
I don't think so.
This only works if he is, but I thought it would have been a cool way to bring him back is if maybe they cut that promo and E's like, no, I'm good, I'm coming back, and he rushes himself to come back, and then they do like what they did with Brutus Beefcake at WrestleMania 9, and like somebody like hits him with a pile driver or something, and like that's like the angle, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And then I think that would have been cool too. But the way they did it was even better because now we have like heel New Day. It's been like 8 years since we've had heel New Day.
Exactly.
This is the most fresh and impactful they have felt in a very long time.
You know what I love about heel, and we're going to talk a little bit this in a few minutes, but what I love about having heel New Day again, you know what that opens up for us? We could get a resurgence of one of the greatest tag team rivalries of the last 10 years. Because the Usos are back together.
Yeah.
Heel New Day versus face Usos. Give it to me every day of the week.
I'd like to see a one-off for sure, because I don't want to see the Usos get back together full time. I think that Jay needs to stay single.
You think so?
He's one of the most over guys on the whole roster.
I'd love another tag team title run for them.
Eventually, I don't think we're there yet, though. I think Jimmy needs to find his grounds as a single.
I think that's what I'm afraid of. I'm afraid Jimmy there's nothing for Jimmy to do without being in the Usos. Jay found that place. I don't know if Jimmy's going to.
Jimmy felt good in War Games, though. I think he'll get there.
Did you see the spot? I think it's Jimmy and Sammy doing the handshake in the middle of the ring.
Yeah, and Jay's doing
it. And Jay's down on the ground. He's like, that'd be great shit. Love it.
Everything that WWE's doing is great right now.
Yeah, the WWE's hitting on all cylinders. TNA is a little questionable right now. Fuck AEW. Yeah, I'm big on WWE right now. Big time. I like the majority of what they're doing. I never thought I'd be this excited about anything with CM Punk. I think this is the most I've been into CM Punk in Punk's entire career.
Not me. I'm a Punk boy.
No, you're a Punk guy though. But
I'm a Punk guy through and through.
I never have been. I do have a problem with him with not only him but the fans calling him the OG Paul Heyman guy. I have a big problem with that.
Well, he's not. but
Not even close.
well, who's the OG?
He,
Who's the
he,
OG Paul Heyman guy?
I don't know who I don't know how far you go back, like who was the first one, but one guy who said, maybe it's me, was Taker on his podcast. He goes, what the fuck is Punk talking about calling himself the OG Paul Heyman guy? It's like, Paul Heyman brought me up in, 1980, whatever. He's like, I might be the OG Paul Heyman guy. Probably not, but I might be.
The first thing I can remember off the top of my head that he managed was the Midnight Express against Cornette when they did the Midnight versus Midnight.
Mm.
That's my first Paul Heyman. But I mean, like, then you go Dangerous Alliance and you
Exactly.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
a lot of I believe we've done a list on that you can go back and check.
I believe we have. Before we get in the list, one last thing. Have you, if you haven't, listened to one of the newest episodes of the Takers podcast with Hornswoggle on it? It's one of the funniest hour and a half I've experienced in a while. Hornswoggle is amazing,
He's a funny guy.
and him and Taker together, they're so entertaining. The stories they tell, and they really get into it. I absolutely love it. You should do yourself a favor and check that out. They tell some really funny stuff.
I will check that out. And you can also check out Josh Alexander this week on Chris Van Vliet, who you can also check out this weekend at Barrie Wrestling for his last Ontario independent match.
Oh my goodness, this is
which
heartbreaking.
I'm hopefully able to announce at this point. I don't even know if I'm going to have a
Oh
voice.
man, I don't know if you're going to be able to talk.
I'm going to be resting my voice all week.
Yeah, I would too. Man, yeah, this is the end of an era. I wish I could be there. Unfortunately, I'm not unfortunately. I am fortunate enough to be visiting my father this weekend. I have to stop saying unfortunately with stuff like that. I am very happy to be able to go and visit my father this weekend. The unfortunate part is the timing.
Yeah.
Of course, I have to fall on this particular weekend. So it is what it is. I can't see Josh for the very last time, but man, it's going to be a show.
Yeah, it's going to be a good time.
That Barrie show is it's ramping up to be an excellent show regardless, even without Josh.
It's stacked, man. We got Reverso and Van Landen, which I'm really excited about. Reverso's first time back in Barrie in almost 2 years since that cage match.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty Ricky and Clay Wilson for the heavyweight championship is going to be good. There's a scramble match. There's tag team titles on the line. If Musso and Grizz win the match, they become the longest reigning tag team champions in Barrie wrestling history. They're going up against mystery opponents. So yeah, I don't know, man. It's gonna be a cool show.
Yeah. All right. Do you have anything else, Ben, or should I? I list it up.
I got my check marks off of everything I want to talk about.
All right. Well, as we just discussed, the 10-year anniversary and the somewhat breakup of the New Day. I don't even know if you count it as a breakup or they just kicked Biggie out. But after 10 years of the New Day, I think it's time we talk about the New Day. I have listed.
For the record, I didn't know we were doing this list until we got on to our Zoom call.
I didn't know we were doing this list until late last night because without that segment, I would not have even thought to do it. Yeah, but I want to talk about why it's still topical.
You got to carry it is what I'm saying, because I'd have to do a deep dive over 10 years.
So you say, but I think a lot of the moments, at least the top 7 moments, like it'll be hard for you to maybe think of your own order or think of things that maybe you wanted on the list. But the moments that I chose for my top 7 are all moments I guarantee that you will remember, because let's be honest, man, in 10 years, they have done some memorable stuff. They really have. They've been a focal point of the WWE for a decade now. I don't know if people give enough recognition and credit to how impressive that is.
Where do you rank them in the all-time tag teams? And both, just only
WWE or
do both? Only are they in only WWE? Are they top 10?
WWE top 10 for sure. I'm not sure about top 5, but top 10.
And outside of WWE, are they top 20?
Top 25, maybe.
I'm in the same boat with you, I think, on that.
I think top 25. I love when there's only a few teams that were able really able to make it work for them. But any team that could really make the Freebird rule work for them is impressive, and I really like. I don't think any team in history has made the Freebird rule work for them better or as good as the Freebirds. I think New Day just comes right under the Freebirds on making that rule work for them. There's been other teams like I think the Shield tried to do it, and there's other teams that really tried to make the Freebird rule work, but this team has made a living off it for 10 years. They are one of the greatest tag teams. If we want to talk about tag team champions, you might even like they're up there for me for sure. This is their moments. There might be some matches there, but it doesn't have to be a match. And I'm going to say this: it doesn't have to be necessarily wrestling related because they've done things all over the world. They've done things in the media. They've done things. So this is, as long as the New Day's together, we're going to talk about it. Doesn't have to be in the middle of a WWE ring. We're going to start in 2017. Man, I could have just put their feud with the Usos as a moment. I really could have. I didn't, but I broke it up into moments. But it really could have been, because I do think it's one of the greatest tag team feuds, at least of the last 10 years, if not longer.
Absolutely.
I absolutely love their feud. But we're going to start in 2017 with the rap battle.
Okay.
The New Day versus the Usos in their rap battle. People still talk about it, man. I think it's a great moment for them.
Shit went sideways in this segment, man. They got real offside.
They said a couple things that maybe could have been left on the drawing room floor, but it was entertaining if nothing else. And that's what the New Day has always been about. All three of them are great wrestlers, but at the end of the day, they are some of the best entertainers WWE has ever seen.
Yeah.
And that's what that rap battle was. Moving on, I love this. We're on the road to WrestleMania in March of 2019. The evil Vince McMahon is doing everything in his power to keep the B-Boss player Kofi Kingston from getting his WrestleMania moment. And the only thing standing between Kofi and WrestleMania is his New Day tag team partners. They got to go and win this tag team gauntlet match. And the match itself is really good. They wrestle a lot of people in the match, but it's the end of it, a great moment by beating Daniel Bryan himself to win and get Kofi that spot. It's a great feel good moment for
that whole build is really good in general.
Mm-hmm. I think it's very important that it was Daniel Bryan that was beat at the end too.
Of course it was.
Going number 5, I told you we're going all over the place. We're not staying in the WWE ring, and we're definitely not in the WWE ring for this, because they're hanging out with the boss. They're with Triple H and Stephanie as they're on the Jimmy Fallon show.
God.
This is some of the most entertaining stuff. Now, I almost didn't put it on because I'm wondering who's more entertaining here, the New Day or Triple H? Because Triple H kind of stole the show with his Frozen. Yeah. Triple H kind of stole the show when he broke into this Frozen. But even when he's doing his Frozen rendition, the New Day are hilarious because they're like reaching out to him, and they were great on this show, and they're a great product to put out. If you're trying to push your shows, you put these guys on these talk shows.
Absolutely.
You put these guys all over the place.
They're not going to embarrass you.
There's a reason why they're the first people that were allowed to have their own separate YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Because they were trusted and they knew that it would work for WWE. Going number 4, we're talking some big championships, because we are talking about Big E cashing in his Money in the Bank.
Right.
Now, unfortunately, this didn't last very long, right? He gets injured very very soon after his title victory, but the moment was very cool.
Yeah, okay. I'm in.
I remember you and I talking that night. You were quite shocked and happy though about that, were you not? If I
I
remember
mean,
properly.
it was a good moment for sure. I never saw Big E as being the face of the company, but I think being a good secondary champion,
I was just about to
absolutely.
say, I don't think that was ever going to be the case, though. He was not
No,
meant to be the secondary champion, or I mean, the face of the company. But at the same time, you have Roman Reigns already. You have Roman. You don't need a face of the company. You have Roman Reigns, but you do need a champion who's going to be defending his championship every show. You
yeah,
do need a champion who's going
he
to be
would.
a, you know,
It was good to see what he could
and it
do.
could have been Big E
The
if
people were ready for him.
100%. What I was ready for in 2017 was one of the best matches in the Usos feud. And we're going to Hell in the Cell 2017.
I'm glad this is on your list. This is an incredible match.
I absolutely this might be one of, like, if I was to rank their tag matches, this is probably my top 3, 4,
Yeah, I would agree.
if not higher. It's a phenomenal match. I don't know how easy it is to pull off a tag match in Hell in the Cell.
Probably
You
not
know,
easy.
I think it's probably a little bit more complicated than people give it credit for. But they made it look as smooth as butter, man. Two of the best tag teams of the last decade, it's not of all time. Like, because you and I have discussed the Usos as being one of the greatest, if not the greatest, WWE tag team ever.
I think it's a lock. They're the best WWE tag team of all time.
Yeah,
And
it's
they're in the
incredible.
top five greatest of all time, in my opinion.
And this match, anybody who hasn't seen this match, it's the perfect Hell in the Cell of that era. Because you're not going into Hell in the Cell in 2017 expecting a bloodbath. You're not expecting ultra violence, but
They made it violent still.
they still made it violent. They still made the cage work for them. They still made that cage work for that feud. You and I have discussed several times that sometimes the Hell in the Cell is just kind of wasted because it's not in the right kind of feud. Well, that feud, I mean, hell,
It was
there's a
great.
there's a reason they called it the Uso Penitentiary. Well, they went to the penitentiary that night, and man, what a match.
Yeah, Woods really shined in that match as well.
I'm not sure if you're going to agree with the placement on this, but I think this is one of their, like, really breakout moments because they were only a team for a few years at this point, and they were a fresh babyface team. They weren't that heel, whatever they were trying to be in the beginning. We're going to WrestleMania 32. Their WrestleMania entrance. It's Booty Mania, baby.
Yeah, this is when they just because the month before in Toronto at the Breakdown pay-per-view or whatever it was back
Yeah,
Roadblock,
yeah,
they introduced Bootios and it really got
right.
over. And
It got
this is
over. So now it's WrestleMania. They have that giant Bootios box. It tips over. The cereal falls out.
it's a
They
great
come,
moment.
they come dancing out of it. It goes down as a great WrestleMania entrance. It's a great WrestleMania moment. People will always remember it, and that's what you want for WrestleMania, right? You want
100%.
to be remembered. There's so, especially to in this day with two shows, you want to have that 5 second, 10 second, 15 seconds of, hey, remember that? I remember that. And I think they have two moments, or well, three moments like that in WrestleMania history. That one moment had nothing to do with them, but I remember it because they were there,
They
and that
set
was
it
it.
up.
That was them announcing the Hardy Boys. You know,
Ooh.
it wasn't their moment, but they were there, and they helped with it, right? So even when they're not on the card, even when they're not wrestling on WrestleMania, they make an entertaining presence at WrestleMania. I love that.
Curious to see if your number one is what I think it is. Because I have a unique one that I think might be number one.
Okay, I if it's a unique one, I don't think it's my number one because I think my number one is very obvious. And of course, we're going to WrestleMania 35 for Kofi Mania.
Okay, yeah.
I think it's the biggest moment of all three men's career.
Yeah,
And even though it was a Kofi moment, it
they help.
wasn't. It was a New Day moment because like you mentioned, you alluded to before, that whole run was fantastic. That whole build to WrestleMania, it wasn't about Kofi getting to WrestleMania. It was New Day helping Kofi get to WrestleMania.
Mhm.
Everything about it was New Day. Kofi never claimed it for himself. You know what I mean?
I might have maybe clumped in your gauntlet match with that then, and I would have
Yeah.
given yourself an extra spot on the list.
I could have done that twice because I could have done the rap battle and Hell in the Cell as the Usos
Yeah, I think I might have.
story. I could have given because there's a match that I kind of wish I put on there. It's my unofficial number 8, and that would have that was the Extreme Rules match versus Kid and Cesaro when they won the title for the first time. You know, but so maybe if I would have done that, I could have fit something else on there. You're right,
I have
but
2 that I think would have made my list.
okay.
I would have went with their second. It was a SummerSlam Fatal 4-Way match where they won the belts, but that started their legendary like title reign.
Hmm,
That match was really good.
it was
I probably would have snuck that on my list, but I do think you missed something really big,
okay.
and I don't know why we're not talking about a trombone at all on your list.
Oh, okay. I mean, because to me, that's not a moment. That's
To me, that's what
fucking
like,
10 years of moments.
but I think that's what like that trombone
Yeah,
is like what took them, I think, to the next level.
I think that amongst all like I mentioned earlier about them just being the most entertaining tag team ever. I think that's just part of it. It's the chant, the new day rocks, new day rocks. That I think that's all part of it, right?
I
It's
want a
their
trombone on
entertainment
my
factor.
list, damn it. I want a trombone on my
What
list.
was the what was the name of the trombone? Like Gladys or something?
Is it Janice? No,
Janice?
that
Or...
was Abyss, maybe.
Oh yeah, that was Abyss. I know
Um,
they named it.
they did name it. They named it a couple. You might be right with Gladys. I'm gonna Google it because it's bothering me. The name of the New Days trombone.
I'm impressed that you can spell trombone.
Who said I spelled it right? Francis. Francisca. Fran
Francesca.
Francesca.
Yeah.
We
All
were all
right.
we were all close.
Yeah, sure. Gladys, Francesca.
That's
I
it.
think you
I want Janice versus Francesca in a death
well,
match.
wasn't Janice like the barbed wire
It's like Abyss's spiked bat or something. His
yeah,
nail
yeah,
bat. Janice
yeah.
versus Francesca. Let's go. Book it.
Oof, Jesus.
Well, I officially have no voice left, so you
That
gotta
you made it farther than I thought you would. You really did. I'm impressed.
I'm dying.
Now please do not talk until Saturday.
I will not.
That has nothing to do with you working on Saturday. I just don't want to hear your fucking voice for at least 4 or 5 days.
Huh. That's fair also.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad to have you back. Before I say goodbye, I do want to thank everybody who listened to last week's Ahmed Johnson video. The numbers on that are fantastic. The comments, people are leaving comments on the YouTube. We have a bunch of
Yeah.
comments on the YouTube, and we love that. Thank you so much. Keep leaving
Feedback's been
comments,
great.
guys.
Lot
Keep-
of good feedback to that interview.
I've been getting messages from friends and from listeners, private messages saying how much they love the interview. We love the interview. We love Ahmed Johnson. We're very proud of that. That's one of my favorite things we did this year. So thank you very much for your support on that. If you haven't heard it yet, please go back. It was just last week. Send it to your friends. Send anybody that you know is a friend of is a fan of 1990s wrestling. It's a great interview.
It is. I'm really proud of that one.
Ahmed's a great guy.
I think we got a lot out of him, and I think we got to show the world a different side of Ahmed Johnson.
Exactly. We didn't ask him the same stuff. He's not just talking about the same things you heard him talk about on every other podcast. He really opened up when we talked to him off air. He even mentioned that how he really enjoyed talking to us and he was able to open up a bit more. And we love that. So please listen to that. For the ones who have, thank you very much. Thank you for supporting Count It Out all these years. We're coming up on 5 years, and we couldn't do it without you. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, that like button on all your platforms, from Spotify to Apple to iHeart Music or iHeart Radio to YouTube, anywhere you can. Hit that subscribe button. It helps us out every single time you do. Until next time, my friends, thank you so much for being here with us, and you have been counted out.
Cheers.